Cindy, the hardworking girl. There was a little orphan named Cindy who lived with her auntie. Her auntie was a wicked woman. She had 2 daughters named Carrie and Erin. Her daughters were very lazy. They refused to do any work at home. They would toss their clothes all over the house. They would leave the table untidy after dinner, and then call on Cindy to clean up after them. "Cindy, why are my clothes not folded?" Carrie said. "Oh, Carrie, I just cleaned up your room. I'm surprised to see a big mess again, and besides, it's time for me to go to bed," Cindy said. "Well, you are not going to bed," her wicked auntie said. "This room must be sparkling clean before you go to bed." And so, Cindy had to clean up the room again while everyone slept. She was so tired. In school, Carrie and Erin were also very lazy. They didn't like to do any work. At home, they would steal Cindy's homework book and copy her work. Once they finished, they would go ahead to mess up the house again. Cindy had a kind heart, but she was very tired of the constant cleaning. She made sure she studied very hard so she could get a good score at the university entrance exam and leave for college. Her auntie told her, "I don't know why you are studying so hard. Even if you get a place, I won't have any money to pay for your tuition." One morning, the king announced that the town would be offering a scholarship for the most intelligent student. Whoever had the highest scores would get a scholarship to Harvard. Cindy was over the moon. This was a dream come true for her. She started studying with all her free time. Carrie and Erin were upset that she kept studying, so they made sure they messed up the house as much as they could, so she would spend all her time cleaning. Cindy didn't let them stop her. She studied so hard and was ready for the exam. On the evening of the exam, all the girls got ready. As her auntie came to the door to take the girls, she looked at Cindy. "Where do you think you're going? You can't go. You need to clean up the whole house again. It's messy." "But auntie, I really need to attend this exam," Cindy cried. But her auntie locked her in and took her ticket. Cindy was so sad. She had really prepared for this exam. She was sad and upset and started cleaning the house again. Suddenly, the room became cloudy and an old fairy lady appeared. "Hi, Cindy. I am your fairy godmother. I have watched you work so hard and prepare for this exam. I am so sorry your auntie didn't let you go." Cindy was in shock. "Thank you, kind lady," she said. And the fairy waved her wand and poof! The whole house became sparkling clean. And then she looked around and saw a toy car. She waved her wand and it disappeared and reappeared outside. She waved her wand again at Cindy's dirty dress and it changed into a neat frock, and so she gave Cindy a ticket and told her to go into the car. "Make sure you come back before midnight or else everything would change back to its original state." Cindy got outside into the car and it took her to the venue. When she got there, she showed her ticket at the door and she was let in. Her auntie's daughters didn't recognize her. They were busy struggling to answer the questions. And so Cindy finished her exam and made sure she was home by midnight. The girls came back much later, so tired and upset the exam had been so stressful. And they made a big mess all around the house so Cindy could clean up. The next morning, there was a knock on the door. Erin peered out of the window. It was the palace messenger. "Oh, Mummy," she screamed, "I think one of us won the scholarship." Their mum was so happy, she rushed to the door and opened it. "Good morning, ladies," the man said. "I'm pleased to inform you that we have a winner from this house." The girls were so happy as they waited eagerly. "The winner of the Harvard scholarship is..." Miss Cindy Jones. The sisters were in shock. They didn't understand how and why she won. They couldn't believe it. "It's impossible," her auntie said. "It is possible," he replied. "Cindy got the highest scores in the exam, even though she came in late. Pack up your things, Cindy. We will be taking you to Harvard to start your university degree." And so, Cindy packed her things and left in the palace car. The lazy, envious sisters were so sad.
There were two sisters named Tara and Erin. Both girls loved toys. They always talked about their favourite toys. "I would love to have the singing car," said Erin. "I would love to have the talking dog," said Tara. Whenever they went to the mall with their parents, they would admire the toys through the window. One day, on their way home from school, they saw something on the path. It was a bag. "Tara, someone forgot her bag on the path. It's wide open, and there's a lot of money in it," Erin said. Tara moved closer. "Wow, this is a lot of money. If we keep this to ourselves, we'd be able to buy toys forever and ever." "Yes, you're right. We could buy a toy every day for the rest of our lives," Erin said as she looked at the bag. Tara was tempted. She had wanted the talking dog for a very long time. Erin thought about how many singing cars the money would get her, and they kept dreaming about all the things they could do with the money. But then Tara said, "Erin, I don't think it's a good idea to take the bag. Taking something which does not belong to us is stealing." "You're right," said Erin. "The owner of the bag must also be very worried. We should take it to the city's Lost and Found Centre. Hopefully the owner comes to get it." And so they carefully closed the bag and took it to the Lost and Found Centre. When they got there, they told the officer what they had found and where they had found it. He was very impressed and happy. He thanked them and asked them for their names. "I'll be sure to tell the owner that Erin and Tara found her bag and returned it," he said. The girls went back home, happy they had done a good deed. One morning, the girls were playing hide and seek when Mum called them. "Erin and Tara, you have a package," she said. A package? They thought. They were super excited. When they got there, their mum was holding a letter. The letter read, "Dear Erin and Tara, thank you for returning my lost bag. I was very sad when I lost it, but very happy when I learned you had found it and returned it. I have attached a gift for each of you, just to say thank you for your kindness. Thank you, Miss Kim Daniels." The girls were so happy. Their mum was also very happy and proud of the girls, and they were eager to know what the gift was. Miss Daniels had sent 2 gift cards to be used at the toy store. The girls were so happy, and so that evening, Mum took them to the store, and they got their favourite toys, and they played with those toys.
The Boastful Girl. There were 2 girls named Sandra and Kelly. Kelly was a very fast runner. She was very proud. She would always remind everyone of how fast she could run. She made fun of those who didn't run as fast as she could. She was also very boastful. "Hey, my name is not Kelly. My name is Kelly the champion, okay?" Everyone was tired of Kelly and her boastful ways. She also refused to attend practice. "What's the point in practicing? I am the best runner in town. Practice is for slowpokes," she said. "I am perfect. Champions do not need to practice." Sandra was an average runner and never missed practice. She knew that practice would eventually pay off. Kelly would laugh at her all the time. "Sandra, are you training for the slow-a-thon? We should call you Slowpoke Sandra. I think that is a good name for you. Slowpoke Sandra," she said as she watched her practicing. Finally, it was time for the school's yearly racing competition. Kelly put her name on the list. She had won the last 5 races, so this would be no different. However, she was very shocked when Sandra also came to put her name on the board. "Hey Slowpoke, you actually think you can beat me? As you can see, my name is the only one on the board. Don't waste your time, Slowpoke. You can't beat the champion." But Sandra didn't let Kelly's words get to her. She put down her name and kept on practicing. On the day of the race, both girls got there on time, and there was a big crowd watching. Everyone knew how much Sandra had been practicing, and they came to support her. Immediately, the race started. Kelly dashed off quickly, laughing as she looked back at Sandra, who was taking her time. "Sandra the Slowpoke," she laughed, and she ran as fast as she could. Towards the middle of the race, Kelly noticed she was getting tired. "Wow, I am surprised. I am not even halfway yet, and I already feel tired." She kept running, but she was tired, and couldn't believe it when Sandra ran past her. Kelly kept trying, but her legs were weak, and she was in great shock when Sandra reached the finish line way before her. The crowd cheered so loudly, and everyone was happy. Kelly couldn't even make it to the finish line. Her legs were tired, and so Sandra got the winner's cup for the race. Later that day, Kelly went to Sandra. "I am so sorry I made fun of you, Sandra. I'm sorry I called you names. I learned so many lessons from this. I learned that it isn't nice to make fun of others or call them names. I learned that it isn't good to be boastful. I also learned that I should never feel too proud or feel like I know too much and neglect practice and hard work." Sandra hugged her, happy that she had learnt her lesson. There were 2 brothers named Charlie and Toby who lived together in a little village. Charlie was nice and warm. He loved to help people all the time. He answered nicely and gave to those in need. Toby was mean. He wasn't helpful to anyone. He was stingy and wanted to keep everything for himself. The brothers owned a farm together. They worked hard on the farm. However, soon the rain stopped falling, the land became dry, and the crops died one by one. Despite the fact that they didn't have much left, Charlie was still kind. He gave food to those who were in need, but Toby didn't. He kept all his food for himself. Soon enough, Charlie was out of food, and he asked his brother for some food. "Really?" said Toby. "When you were playing Santa Claus and giving out all your food, I warned you." "I am sorry, Charlie, but this food is mine and only mine," he said. And so Charlie went to the neighbours, and a few of them, who still had some food left, shared theirs with him. Within a few months, the town was out of food. Even Toby was also out of food. So the brothers decided to go to the forest to search for some food. They made adequate preparation, as it was going to take days before they returned. The next morning, they started their journey. A few hours into the journey, they heard a voice calling for help. When they looked closer, it was an old lady. "Help me," she said. "I was walking back from the woods when I lost my balance and fell down. I think I might have broken my hip," she said. "Really, old lady?" Toby said. "Sorry, you have to wait for someone else to help you. We are going a long way to look for some food. We won't let you slow us down." "But Toby," Charlie said, "we need to help her. She is in a lot of pain." Toby looked at his brother, and suddenly he had a thought. He would let Charlie go back to the town with the old woman. That way, he could have a head start, and if he found any food, he would take it and hide it from Charlie. "Well, Charlie, you can take her back, and then you can join me tomorrow." As he watched his brother head back to the town, he chuckled to himself. Charlie carried the old lady all the way back to the town. His back hurt so much. By the time he got to her house, it was already dark. As he dropped her on her bed, he said to her, "I will call the village doctor so he can come and see you." And suddenly, the room became cloudy, and the old woman changed into a fairy. Charlie was amazed. "Thank you for being so kind and helping me," she said. "When you get home, there will be a big surprise waiting for you." So Charlie went back home, and when he got there, he was shocked. There was so much food in the barn, in his house, and all the way to the sidewalk. He was overjoyed. And so over the next few weeks, Charlie called the people in the village and shared some of his food with them. Meanwhile, Toby is still in the forest, searching for some food.
One good turn deserves another. Tara was a kind little girl who lived with her family in a quiet city. Everyone loved Tara. She was very helpful. She helped her little brother with his homework. She helped Mrs. Brown when she lost her glasses in the park. And just last week, she helped her friend Mary look for her lost book in school. She really had a kind heart. One day, Tara was rushing back home from school. She was very tired as she had a very busy day in school. Suddenly, she heard a noise by the bushes on the path. What could that be? She thought, and so she looked closer. A poor cat was struggling. He was tangled in a ball of yarn inside the bushes. Oh, poor thing, Tara thought. But then, she looked at the tangles. It was going to take hours to set the cat free, and she was too tired and hungry. Oh, I'm so tired, kitty. It'll take hours to get this undone. Please, begged the poor cat. Please help me. And so Tara decided to help the struggling cat. So Tara sat down and untangled the yarn, one thread after the other. She spent so much time doing this, but she finally finished and the cat was free. Oh, thank you, kind friend, said the cat. You saved me. I was tangled all day and no one helped me until you came along. After the cat left, Tara got home. She was tired, but she was happy she had done a good deed, and she had her dinner and rested. A few months later, Tara was on her way back from school. She was walking and singing happily, when suddenly she saw a tiger. Tara was alarmed and scared. What was a tiger doing in the town? Oh no, Tara thought. What am I going to do now? She looked around but couldn't see anybody. Help! Help! She shouted. And suddenly, Tara saw the cat she had helped months ago. He rushed out as soon as he heard her shout for help. What's wrong, dear friend? He asked. Look, look, look! There is a tiger, Tara said. I am scared he is going to hurt me. Oh, dear Tara, don't worry. The tiger and I belong to the same family. We are both felines. I am going to talk to him and he's going to leave you alone. And so the cat went to the tiger and purred. He told him to leave Tara alone, and they spoke for a very long time. Tara was so scared. But suddenly, the tiger turned away and went back into the woods. Tara was so relieved. Oh, thank you so much, dear cat, Tara said. You saved me. Oh, Tara, please don't mention, said the cat. One good turn deserves another.
Once upon a time, there were 3 brothers named Toby, Trey, and Tyrone. The 3 brothers lived with their parents in a lovely city. The 3 brothers had grown older and it was time for them to leave their parents and be on their own. They needed to build houses to live in, and after several months of preparations, they set out to start life. The first brother, Toby, was very lazy. He decided to go the easy route. "I would build a house with straw," he said to himself. "It would be fast and easy." And so he gathered some straw from the fields and built his house, and he was done within a day. The second brother, Trey, was also lazy. He said to himself, "I would build a house from sticks. I am too tired to build and build." And so he built a house for himself with sticks, and he was finished in 3 days. The third brother, Tyrone, was very hardworking. "I would build a house with bricks," he said to himself. "It might take a long time to build, but it would definitely be a strong house." And so he worked very hard, and it took him 3 weeks to finish his house. One night, there was a big storm. The storm blew so hard. The first brother heard the loud noise outside and was so scared. As the wind blew, the house shook. "Oh no," he said, "I better run away before the house falls down." As he left the house, the wind blew down his house of straw, and it all came to the ground. "Oh no," he cried, "my house is gone." And so he ran to Trey's house. While they were there, the storm became even stronger. The wind blew harder and the sticks started moving. Both brothers were terrified. "We better run away before this house falls too," they cried. And so they left the house, and the wind blew the house of sticks to the ground. They ran as fast as they could and got to the third brother's house and told him what had happened. Tyrone welcomed them in. The sound of the wind grew louder and louder, but the house of bricks was so strong and they were safe in the house. The storm lasted all night till the early hours of the next day, but the 3 brothers were safe. "We have learned our lesson," the other brother said. "The shortcut is not always the best. It pays to work hard."
The Boy Who Cried Wolf. There was a boy named Toby who lived with his father, mother, and sister. Toby was sometimes naughty. He would tell lies to his parents and play tricks. His parents always corrected him and told him it was wrong to do so. But he never listened. Toby had 3 pet rabbits that he played with every day. He loved his rabbits very much. One day, Toby was bored and decided to play a trick. "Help! Help! There's a wolf! It's going to eat my rabbits! Help! 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 Help!" Toby's parents rushed out quickly to help him. The neighbors also left what they were doing and rushed to the scene. When they got there, Toby was laughing. "I can't believe it! I tricked you all!" Toby's parents were not happy with him. They spoke to him and told him it was not good to tell lies. They told him not to play such tricks again. Toby promised not to do it again. But 2 days later, Toby decided to play the same trick again. So he shouted louder this time. "Help me! My rabbits are gone! There's a wolf here! Please, please help! Please, please help!" Toby's parents rushed out again. The neighbors also ran to his house very quickly. But once again, there was no wolf to be seen. Toby laughed even harder this time. "I tricked you all! I can't believe you fell for this again!" His parents were very upset that he lied again. They spoke to him again, and Toby promised not to do it again. The next day, Toby was playing with his rabbit. He heard a noise and looked around. Suddenly, there was a big wolf. It had climbed over the fence and was moving towards the rabbit. Toby shouted, "Help! Help! There is a big wolf! This time I am telling the truth. There is a big bad wolf. Somebody please help me." Toby's mom and dad were making lunch. They said to themselves, "Oh no, Toby is up to his old tricks again." The neighbors also said to themselves, "Does he think we are going to fall for that same trick a third time? Certainly not." No one came to help Toby this time, and so the wolf chased the rabbits. They were scared and ran away into the woods. Toby was alarmed. His rabbits were gone. He ran to the kitchen crying and told his mom and dad there was a wolf for real this time and it scared my rabbits away. He wailed. His parents looked outside and truly the rabbits were gone. They said to him, "It is really sad that you lost your pets, but because you had told a lie several times, no one believed you when you told the truth. You should always tell the truth all the time." "I am so sorry, Mommy and Daddy," Toby cried. And so Toby learned his lesson and never told lies again. The lazy friend. There were two friends called Erin and Kelly. Erin was hardworking, but Kelly was lazy. Kelly always preferred to take the shortcut. Whenever they had to do work together, Kelly would run away to play so she wouldn't have to do any work. She never cleaned up after herself. She never packed up her toy. In school, she never submitted her homework on time because she played instead of doing her work. All she loved to do was play and sleep. One day in school, the teacher, Mrs. Jane, announced that there was going to be a writing competition and all those who wrote a good essay would get awesome prizes. All the children were excited. Erin and Kelly were also excited. They had so many dreams about what they would do with the prizes. "Oh, Kelly, I am so excited," said Erin. "We need to start preparing for the competition." "Well," said Kelly, "I do not need to prepare." "You go ahead and prepare. I would do mine a day to the deadline." And so, Erin worked very, very hard for her essay. She went to the library to read about her topic. She asked questions and made sure her essay was good. While she worked hard on her essay, Kelly played and played. "Why are you working so hard?" Erin, Kelly laughed. "I'm going to play and have fun, and the night before the deadline, I would write a quick story." "Have fun, Erin. Don't work so hard. Life is all about fun." But Erin didn't stop. She kept working hard and didn't stop until she had an excellent essay. On the eve before the deadline, Kelly was still playing. She went to the playground. She jumped up and down. She played and played. When she finally got home to do her essay, she was tired. She was so tired that she slept off on her table. The next morning, she woke up. "Oh no! I was so tired that I didn't write my essay," she cried. When she got to school, there was no essay to submit, and all the other students submitted their work. Erin was top of the class because she had worked so hard for her essay. She got so many presents. "I wish I had listened to you," Kelly told Erin. "I was lazy and didn't work hard on my essay, and I have no presents. I have learned my lesson. Laziness never pays."
There were 3 children, Jean, Tom, and Toby. They lived with their parents in a small town. They were sometimes naughty and would play tricks. Their parents corrected them and sometimes punished them, but they didn't listen. One morning, before going to work, their parents told them, "Please do not be naughty today and listen to your babysitter, Miss Doreen." "We will," they said. But immediately after their parents left, they began to think of what tricks to play. I have an idea," said Jean. "Let's sneak out and go into the woods. That way we can play instead of sitting at home with boring Miss Doreen. We would get back before Mum and Dad return." "That's a good idea," Tom replied. "Also, we would not have to clean up after playing in the woods," he said happily. Toby didn't like the idea. "Mummy says we should never go off on our own. Besides, the glowing one-eyed monster lives in the woods. He would find us and eat us." But they laughed at him. "The glowing one-eyed monster doesn't exist, Toby. You can stay home if you want to. We are going to have a fun-filled day." So they waited until Miss Doreen was making her coffee, and the 3 children tiptoed outside and ran off into the woods. When they got there, they played and played. After playing, they decided to head back home, but no one could remember the way home, and so the children got lost in the woods. "I am hungry," Toby cried. "I'm thirsty," Jean said. There was no food or water anywhere nearby. They kept walking. Soon it got dark, and it was very hard for them to see. Suddenly, they heard a rustling sound. They looked and saw a bright light moving towards them. "Oh no, it must be the glowing one-eyed monster," Jean cried. They started running. They were terrified. They ran as fast as they could, but the light seemed to be getting closer. Suddenly, they heard a loud voice saying, "Stop running! Stop running!" "Oh no, the monster talks," Toby cried. "He wants us to stop so he can come and eat us. Run! Run! Run!" They ran very fast until they could run no more. They fell on the ground, tired and out of breath. The bright light got closer, and they were terrified. "The monster is here!" Toby cried. They closed their eyes in despair as the light got towards their faces. "I found them," a voice said. They opened their eyes. It was Mr. Goon, the policeman. He had been the one chasing them with his flashlight. The kids were relieved. In a few seconds, Mum, Dad, and a group of policemen arrived. They hugged their parents tightly and cried, "Oh, Mummy and Daddy, we were so scared. We are so sorry for being naughty. We shouldn't have left the house. We should have listened to you instead of being disobedient." And so the kids went home, had a bath, and had dinner. They learned their lesson and didn't play tricks anymore. They listened to their parents and were always obedient. The Lost Dog. Chris and his sister Sandra loved to play in the playground. One day, as they were all playing, a new girl showed up. The little girl's hair was unkempt and she wore a torn dress. The other children in the playground laughed at her. "She looks so poor," one girl said. "Look at her. She looks so dirty," another girl said. Chris and his sister were not happy with the way the kids were mocking the little girl, so they went to talk to her. "Hi, are you lost?" Sandra asked kindly. "I can't find my puppy Paddy," the girl replied. "So sorry to hear that. We'll help you look for your dog," Sandra said. "Thank you. I'm Lucy," the girl said. "I'm Sandra. This is my brother Chris," Sandra said. "You are so kind," Lucy said. One of the girls, Mary, saw them from afar and she walked to them. "Why are you talking to her?" Mary asked. "Mary, please don't be rude," Sandra said. "Lucy lost her dog and she needs our help," Chris said. "I can't help a poor girl like her," Mary said. Mary walked away before Sandra could stop her. "I'm sorry about Mary's attitude," Sandra said. "It's all right. Everyone's been unkind to me today," Lucy replied. "Don't look so sad. We'll help you find your dog," Chris said. The other children in the playground laughed at them as they began to look for Paddy. They searched behind the trees and the flowers in the woods. They yelled Paddy's name as they continued the search. Suddenly, they heard a bark. Woo! Woo! It's Paddy, Lucy cried. The puppy bounced out of the woods when it heard its name. Paddy wagged his tail cheerfully. Lucy lifted the dog into her arms happily. Oh, Paddy, I thought I'd lost you for good, Lucy cried. Suddenly, a big royal carriage pulled up to them, and 2 palace guards and a lady came out. She was wearing a crown. Princess Lucy, where have you been? The Queen asked as she hugged her. I was playing with Paddy in the garden, and he ran away, and I followed him and got lost. As I ran through the bushes, my clothes got torn and dirty. Sandra and her brother Chris were so helpful and helped me find him. Chris and Sandra were surprised. Lucy was the princess. Thank you for your kindness. I would love you to come to my party tomorrow as it's my birthday, Lucy said. The other children gathered around the royal carriage, admiring it. They felt ashamed of themselves and they wished that they helped the princess. Get into the carriage and we'll take you home. Sandra and Chris happily hopped into the royal carriage. The other children were filled with regret. The following day, a royal carriage arrived at Sandra and Chris's house. Sandra and her family went to the palace and met the king and queen. The children had a great time. Thank you for helping my daughter, the king said. You are welcome to visit the palace any time you want, the queen said. Sandra, Chris and Princess Lucy became best friends. The children had many adventures in the palace.